Hello, hello out there in YouTube land. Where is everybody at tonight? Where is everybody? We had some people, they were waiting, and then I guess they got bored of waiting, and then they took off. So you guys better hurry up and come back because the show is starting in just a few minutes. So I see we have a very enthusiastic comment from the mod, my very own mod. Yes, I will slay some Dogman tonight, and Joedy will also slay some Dogman figuratively. Of course, we can't physically slay one while we're live streaming, but that would be an interesting show, would it not? All right, I see we got some people popping in. Feel free to say hello in the chat. Give me a sign of your presence. Knock 3 times if you can hear my voice, whatever you need to do. We're going to wait just a couple of minutes for everybody to start popping in, and then we're going to get the show going, guys. And it is going to be crazy. We're going to have some Dogman pictures. We're going to have some crazy Dogman stories. So you definitely do not want to close that browser window or whatever it is that you're using. Don't close your YouTube app. All right, we're going to wait a couple minutes and let everybody pop in. Pappy, Samuel, Cinder. Hey guys, I'm so glad to see you here. Glad you could make it tonight. Always a good time when my boo crew is here. Hopefully everybody else can make it in too, because we are going to have a wild show tonight. Guys, do you remember the fiasco last night when we could not get Jody's computer onto the stream? Something happened. It wasn't coming through. You guys could hear him. I couldn't hear him. Well, guess what? We managed to figure out the problem and we made it work. So Joedy is here tonight. Joedy, come on into the chat here and say hello.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
All right, good.
We can hear you, and this is awesome. We got it all figured out. I was about to have a nervous breakdown last night. I was so sad. It was crazy. Vicus, Deborah, hello. Thank you all for coming. So welcome back to another episode of Paranormally Correct. It is not the Monday night live stream. It is a Tuesday stream, which is very peculiar, but it's going to be very fun. So thank you all for coming. If you haven't subscribed yet, I would really appreciate it. It would make me really happy if you could just click the button. It's free. All you have to do is click it. Please click it. Okay, and also if you want to click like, that's cool too. What else? I'm coming to you live tonight again from the nest of the Dogman. The Dogman eggs are gone. They're gone. No Dogman eggs. So, all right, Joedy, how are you doing tonight?
Doing good. How are you?
I am hanging in there like a hair to biscuit, as usual.
A hair and a biscuit.
I am a hair and a biscuit. Story of my life. Did Dogman pose for those pictures, or yeah, he posed. Dogman is, little known fact, Dogman loves to have his picture taken. He's a ham. All right, guys, so we got a cool show tonight. We're going to be talking about Dogman again. We are going to show you some pictures. Jody's going to tell you some awesome stories. So let's get started. I always like to hear this story, and for those of you who are new, you'll probably love it too. Joedy, what was your first experience with a cryptid?
Oh, God. My first, well, when I was in the Army, I saw Bigfoot when I was in the Army. It was in Grayling, Michigan. It was about 1993, I believe it was. And I was at a military base in Grayling. It was on a Friday evening. It was about 8:30, 9 o'clock, somewhere around there. So it was still pretty light out. And we were coming off the range, and we had to get the ammunition that was left over from the range to the ASP, which is the ammo supply point. And we kind of went off road because we wanted to get there before it closed. Otherwise, we would have to basically sleep in the vehicle with the ammunition till Monday morning till they reopened. So we wanted to get there. So we went off road, and the tree line was getting pretty thick. And excuse me. So it got to the point where the trees were getting really, really big. They were really big, and we couldn't go any further. So we decided to move the vehicle around and get back up on the road. And that's when it moved. At first, we thought we might have hit a tree or something. And, the tree was falling. I mean, it was that massive. He was probably, I would say, maybe 12, 15 feet in front of us. He wasn't that far away from us. And, I just remember the massive body on this thing was probably about 7.5 feet, like a reddish brown color almost. Now, what was kind of unusual about him was that the hair, like up around his shoulders, his head, chest area, was real light. It was kind of looked like mange a little bit, and you can see the skin, and the skin kind of looked, scaly, but he had a satchel crest on his head, which is the point, like a gorilla. Had the high brow, had a massive jaw. The nose was pretty human, but it was flat. The whole facial characters of this thing was, pretty human. That was like the very first thing, that you notice about it is how human it looked. Now, like the hair on his forearms, like on a gorilla, how it's like he has a lot of hair on the forearms, that kind of makes it massive. And that's what it was kind of like. Long arms, long legs, massive chest, small waist and stuff. But, he was a male. He looked older, And one thing I remember is that his eyes were like a blackish red color almost. No white whatsoever in the eyes. None whatsoever. And when he moved, like if you're looking straight, he was at our left moving to your right. Okay. And it was like a glide almost. And I just remember, just watching him, and he's looking right at us because I was in the front driver's seat, and it just goes, real slow. And then I know, the thing, I know this sounds weird. People are going to laugh, but, this guy had like a muscle butt. A small muscle butt, man. And you saw like the line going up the center of the back where the muscles just like folded out. His legs were like runner's legs. He was just muscular. Looked like a linebacker almost. As he was moving on, no sound whatsoever. I don't even remember a smell, coming off him because we had the windows down, and. He just, as he went on, he just blended into the tree line, and he was gone.
That's pretty amazing. And you would think that Squatch would be toned. He would be muscular because he does a lot of walking.
The thing about Grayling, Michigan, that post is where U.S. and Canadian soldiers, do a lot of exercises together. It's one of the only few bases, where you'll see foreign troops actually participating and, have kind of like free range of movement. And it's not unusual for someone to have a Bigfoot sighting there or a UFO sighting. It's not unusual. I remember the first time I was there, was like in 1990 before the Gulf War. And I remember, when you're way out in the range, or in the field, the roads are kind of like sandy dirt roads. And, I remember seeing large footprints, and whatever it was walking down the road, and you don't think anything of it. You knew it was bigger than your boot. But you're thinking, well, maybe somebody was walking down the road and it kind of like spread it out a little bit. And then, you start hearing about people seeing Bigfoot, people who are on like guard duty, things like that. So, and then, you see it, I remember that the range we were on, it was a 50 caliber range because I was a 50 caliber instructor at the time. And the guys who stay with the weapons at the range there, they swore they saw something huge run across the middle of the range one night with, the moon was out. And in summertime up there, I mean, it's pretty light at night when the moon's shining and things. They said they saw something large just kind of like run out, in the middle of the range there. So, people see stuff all the time up there.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing. So before you saw Squatch, were you skeptical of these creatures? Had you ever thought about them, or had you ever seen anything paranormal or supernatural before that?
Well, I remember my first doctoration, I guess, into it was seeing the Legend of Boggy Creek, growing up in that, and that's got me like hooked on it. As far as like, the paranormal and things like that, I'm, not so much, but I did a lot of, UFO investigating prior to getting into the Bigfoot stuff. And I did that for quite some time. We actually, back in the late 80s, we had a television show. This was before cable and everything. So everything was done through like public access TV. And we had a show that we did the first Wednesday every month, a live show we did for like 8 years. And it was called UFO Update Live. We had live guests come on the show. We had people calling in, and it was a really successful show. And we would get, Bigfoot sightings. We would get, other cryptid sightings that were, UFO related. And the team I belonged to that did the show were looking for someone that wanted to do the look into the cryptid part of it. And, I said, yeah, I'll do it. George Clapperson did it with me. And I just kind of like fell into it, kind of got away from the UFO stuff because it was really addictive, doing all this cryptid stuff because, in Ohio, I mean, we have Betsy, which is the lake monster. We have the Loveland Frogman. We have the, dogmen all across Ohio. We have the grass man. We have the melon heads. We have, just all kinds of other different weird cryptids, in Ohio. And it was just fun, investigating it, looking into it, and that's how I got hooked on it.
Yeah, it's definitely fun. It's exciting, and it's like you never know what you're going to find. So you went from kind of ufology type stuff, and then did you hunt? You were kind of like a Bigfoot hunter, or you had an organization at one point, right?
Yeah, it was called the Ohio Center for Bigfoot Studies, and we did a lot of Bigfoot research. And here's the thing: the name Grassman. I was the first researcher in the state of Ohio to actually use that name Grassman on television, in my research, and even in a book. And I remember getting a lot of flack for people laughing, "Oh, the Grassman," like, smoking weed and stuff, but it's it's a big name. And the thing, how it is how it came about was doing my research. I did an investigation up in Akron, Ohio, and that's the first time I heard the name. The people were calling it the Grassman, and through all generations. I talked to a guy, he was a grandfather, was telling me when he was a kid, he knew about the Grassman. His parents, would say, make sure, you don't go into the woods because the Grassman would get you. And, I was doing research up in the Akron area and stuff, and I'm finding out like a lot of people up in Akron are, Dutch background, so I'm like, wow, that might have something to do with it. And then when I was doing my research, I found a book called A Buckeye Boyhood, written by William Vanderbilt. And William Vanderbilt was an Ohio author that wrote books about Ohio back in, the 1800s. And he wrote this book called A Buckeye Boyhood about him growing up in Ohio. And there's a chapter called In the Woods. And he talks about this. He was on the road going from Cincinnati to Utica, which is a small town north of Columbus. And they talked about this creature that would harass people on the road called the Bajessman. And he describes it as something between a gorilla in Sinbad's Old Man of the Mountain. So if you go and do research on the old Sinbad stories, he's a giant hairy monster. And this is, you know, he's seeing this thing in the 1840s as a child. And the Native Americans tell him about this creature. And so I said, okay, William Vanderbilt, okay, has an English and Dutch background. Okay, so I'm doing my research. So what I find out is the name Bojesman comes from South Africa. Okay, there's an area in South Africa called Giant Castle Pass. It's a real beautiful area, has a lot of mountains, a lot of caves. Well, one of the main tribes in South Africa was the Zulus, and they did cave paintings of these creatures they called the Bojesman, which were giant, you know, hairy giants, were similar to, you know, Bigfoot. And now the Dutch occupied South Africa. Okay, so when, you know, immigrants were coming into the United States, the Dutch that came into the United States came in from South Africa. Okay, and they stayed in Ohio. So Ohio, in southern Ohio, in the Cincinnati area, that's where all the Germans went. The English went in the middle part, and the Dutch went to the north. Okay, so there's this creature in South Africa called the Bojesman that means bushman. Now, if you see the movie, The Gods Must Be Crazy, that's a bushman. Now, he's human, so he's Bojesman Wiki. That makes him a human, not the hairy giant. So these people in the 1840s that are seeing this creature, they're calling it the Bojesman because they know what it is, because they've seen him in South Africa. So through time, through generations, you know, going forth, you don't speak the old language anymore. You speak English, and Bojesman from Bushman went to Grassman. And so that's how the name came about throughout the generation. And I did the research on this, and, you know, no other Ohio researcher did it. And, you know, everybody is on the bandwagon, you know, Grassman this, Grassman that, but no one wants to give the credit to any, you know, to me, because I was the one that did it, you know, that did the research in the name, and actually, like I said, used the name first in a TV show that I did on sightings back in the 1990s. And the first book I wrote with George Clapson, Ron Murphy, not Ron Murphy, but God, I can't think of his first name. You know, Bigfoot in Ohio, you know, traces of In Search of the Grassman. You know, that was the first time that name ever was used.
Yeah, that's really interesting. I don't think you've ever told me that, and I've never, of course, heard about it. And yeah, that's pretty amazing. And yeah, the Grassman, that name is, you know, synonymous, and you hear it everywhere now. It's a pretty common known name.
it is, but you know, the thing of it is, I even tried to copyright it, you know, through the federal government and stuff, but you can't copyright a name at the time. Now you can. But you know, the thing of it is, what really makes, I guess what I get more upset about is that, you know, and you know, don't take this wrong as, you know, I'm a glory hound or anything like that, but you know, I did a lot of research. You know, George Clapperson did a lot of research in this also, and you know, we're not getting credit for it, and it's making me mad. And other people are getting, you know, the credit for something that they didn't do.
Oh yeah, definitely.
You know,
mean, I don't blame you one bit, because that's, like you said, that's a lot of research, you know, to put all that together.
I'm telling you, it took months, you know, literally, just to go through all that, you know, all that stuff, trying to find that stuff out. And actually, I've got a picture of one of the cave arts from Giant Castle Pass in South Africa of, you know, the hairy giants, the Bojesmans there. And, you know, this whole area, they're like cannibals in this area, and no one goes there, you know, because, I mean, it's beautiful. I mean, people have gone there, but there's people have gone there and came missing, and the tribesmen will tell you, man, these things will eat you. That's why they don't go there. And these cave paintings were basically warnings, not to go there to their people. They didn't give a crap if the white man went there and got eaten up. But for other indigenous people, it was a warning.
Right. Yeah, and somebody was asking last night if there, was any type of cryptids or dogman, in certain parts of other countries and different parts of the world. And it's like, yeah, this stuff, Bigfoot, dogman, they're kind of everywhere, but they go by different names. And sometimes.
We have a chapter in Ireland. The North American Dogman Project has a chapter in the UK. We have a chapter in Ireland. Okay. Now, the British call them werewolves. They don't call them dogman because they say that's what it is. It's a werewolf. Okay. We give it the name dogman. Dogman's a neat name, but it should be called man-dog and realistic, because that's basically what it is. It's a man-dog. Now, when you go into Europe, like Eastern Europe, and same thing, like they look at it as a werewolf. That's what they call it, a werewolf. Here in the States, and in Canada, we're the only ones that call it dogman. Everyone else around the world, even in the Australians and the New Zealanders, they called it werewolves, and now they're kind of calling it dogman now. But they always knew it as werewolf, just like the Europeans did. We got an email from a guy in Kenya that says, listen, I looked at your site, I followed you guys on Facebook. We have them here. Can I start a chapter in Kenya?
Wow.
Because he goes, we have them there. And he talks about that they have a creature similar to Bigfoot there also. And they go, we know what gorillas are. We know what chimpanzees are. This is not what it is. This is what you Americans call a Bigfoot. And it's something that we knew all of our lives that was here. So, we're like, hey, yeah, start a chapter there. Keep us, informed of the sightings.
Yeah,
so
definitely.
So,
yeah. It's really cool to hear about, all the different sightings and stuff like that from other countries. I think that's it's so crazy because it's so easy to forget that they are everywhere. This stuff is everywhere. Well, like, the cryptids, the most popular ones.
Well, the thing of it is, like, when you look in Europe and you look in the UK area, it's an everyday occurrence. I can't say everyday occurrence. It's something that's always been there that they knew about. We here in the States really didn't start getting really, really noticed and coming forward about it until the 70s. We knew they were here way before then. There's Native Americans talk about it. People talked about it through generation. But where it really got kicked off in the United States was in 1972 in Defiance, Ohio. And it was known as the Defiance, Ohio werewolf. And it was worldwide. It hit the news all over the world. Okay. For over a week, this creature harassed the town of Defiance. It was killing livestock. It attacked 3 railroad workers. And I'll get back on something very interesting about that there. People have seen it. The police were trying to play it off. They were extremely scared. They knew what was going on. They were saying, this thing was wearing clothes, so it had to been somebody doing it. Well, a lot of witnesses said it didn't have clothes. The newspaper reported this thing wearing clothes because they were with the police on trying to calm people down on what really happened. And they're saying, well, a bear, could have been a bear, or a bear was one killing the livestock. Well, confirmed by the Ohio Department of Natural Resources, bears were never in Ohio until 1980. Okay. Now, did bears cross borders? Yeah. Could have came into Ohio? Yeah, but bears are nuisance animals. They let you know they're there. Okay. And no one's really reported them. Okay. Because in 1980, the bears were coming down through Pennsylvania and going into West Virginia, migrating for food through the seasons and going right back up. Well, Ohio has a lot of roadkill. We have a lot of deer, and the bears stayed. Okay, so now we have 44 counties out of 88 with black bear. Okay, so what was so interesting about this, Stephen King wrote a book called The Circle of the Werewolf, which was Silver Bullet. And basically that story is based off Defiance, Ohio. Everything that's going on. With the guy being killed in the beginning of the movie at the railroad yard.
I didn't know that, but Silver Bullet's one of my favorite movies. I've never read the book, unfortunately, but yeah, that's really interesting.
Yeah, so I thought that was kind of neat. That he based it off of that particular incident that happened.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
So we've got some questions here in the comment section, and then after this, I want to kind of talk more about NADP for anybody who maybe is new and not familiar with the organization. So Cinder asked, in 1993, were you aware of Linda Godfrey looking into the Beast of Bray Road during the early 90s?
Oh yeah, I mean I knew about the Dogman stuff the first time I knew about the case in '72. Okay. I was just a kid at the time, but I knew about the massacre at LBL in 1987. Okay, so I knew Linda Godfrey was looking at it. I mean, Linda Godfrey was a skeptic when she wrote the article when all this stuff was going about. She was a skeptic about it. And then when she's doing her research, she's figuring out, there's something to this. There's definitely something there. So, I remember the Beast of Bray Road. I remember, hearing things about the Michigan Dogman, back in the 80s and stuff. It was nothing new. I was a deputy sheriff before I went into the Army, and I was in Kentucky at a seminar, and I was talking with, some Kentucky State Troopers there. This was after the seminar, and we were talking about just, crazy stuff that happens to you on the job. And the one talked about he got called down to Land Between the Lakes about a massacre, and this family got tore apart down there. But the thing, he never mentioned anything about the little boy in the story. He mentioned about the mother, father, and the little girl and everything that happened, but he never said nothing about a little boy. And he talked about the hair that was in the hand of the father. The father arm was ripped off. It was a horrible attack. That killed these people. And they thought it was a big cat at first because the little girl wasn't in a tree half eaten, and that but there was evidence of a large canine. But one of the things he said that whatever this thing was big, and it was strong enough to tear parts of the trailer, the mobile home apart, to get in. They knew the little girl was in the back room because when it killed the father, it went inside, killed the mother, and then went into the back room where the little girl was hiding. So, and that's the first time I heard it. And it's like, like he said, man, there's this legend of this creature of a werewolf running around LBL. And I went down there afterwards because I was really interested in it. And, I was doing investigation. People weren't talking about it. And then throughout the years, I ended up talking to, a lot of people that say they were there. And what's so odd about this is that, I probably talked to about 4 different police officers who say they were there. And throughout, about a 10-year span, I met with them all, and they all took me to the same location. And these were guys that were, from different departments. Because you have to understand, there was 3 different counties that showed up there with their coroners. And the FBI allegedly was there too. So, and they all took me to the same location. Now, there's another researcher that says, well, this is the location where it happened because, he has a friend that works there, and, and it's totally impossible that the area where it was supposed to be the old RV recreation area, there's no way you can get an RV up in that area. It's not level ground. Okay. And I have a map of Land Between the Lakes from the 1980s, and there's no, parking I'm trying to say the right word, for a mobile home, no camping area there where they say this is where it was. Okay. There were houses in that area at the time. Okay. So that's why you have all these, pieces of metal and stuff, tubes and stuff, hoses or pipes and stuff sticking out of the ground there. So, but the area, is right by a lake. Okay. And every officer said it was always by a lake, where this incident happened. It was in a secluded area. But here's the problem with LBL, okay, is that you have so many researchers researching it that has so many witnesses that we can't honestly determine, did it really happen? Where is the exact location of what happened? Because like I said, I did not hear about the little boy being part of the family until the I'd probably say about late 1990s, early 2000 was the first time I ever heard there was a little boy there.
So it's, do you think maybe it's like a case of, possibly some truth to it, and then it became an urban legend, or there's just too many cooks in the kitchen with too many variations of the story?
Well, the one state trooper told me, he says, there were so many people there, so many jurisdictions, no one knew who was in charge. None of the coroners knew who was in charge. And if the FBI was there, they had no idea that they were there. Okay. No one knew anything. I mean, it was literally a cluster of, of people that were there.
Right.
Okay. So something did happen. Okay. Something did happen. Because the reason why I believe something did happen is because we interviewed a guy who worked for Fish and Game that he didn't work at LBL, but he was there fishing, and he saw one kill 2 people, and he knew there was something in there. Everybody knew there was something there. And this happened in 1979, while he was fishing and coming back from the fish trip early, about 7:30 in the morning. And it was foggy, and he's going along, he was about, 10 feet off the bank. And he saw a campsite, saw the truck, the tent, he saw something large. He thought it was a horse. He thought maybe they had a horse. Then the thing stands up. As he's going by, he sees it. It's not a horse. He's able to see it. He describes it as, like a werewolf, had dog legs, long arms, hands like a human. Said the face, the head was, the snout was a little bit short. He said it kind of looked more like a hyena. Almost had like a mane, like a lion's mane almost to it. It was dark. He said this thing was probably about 7 feet. And they started walking over by the tent. He said the people were coming out in the morning. He's yelling at them to look over at the direction where this thing is. They're looking at him because he has his motor going on his boat. Okay. And he's yelling at them, and, they don't know what the, hell he's trying to say. And he said this thing pounced both of them, and he's sitting there in his boat watching this thing rip these 2 people apart. And it was in a secluded area, okay, of LBL. And we actually found the site. I mean, he gave us directions exactly where the site was. Where the actual site was, there was a road. and they put a big dirt mound right there, and the dirt mound ended up growing into a hill, but you can see where the road was right there, and they blocked the area off, and you can see where trees were planted in different parts there where the campsite was. So we knew that was the area where it happened, because he told us exactly where it was.
Oh, I can't even begin to imagine what that would be like to see something like that. I mean, because first of all, you got so many things going on. Like, first of all, you're seeing like death, but on top of that, you're seeing this creature that you probably didn't ever know existed, or you don't really know how to perceive. I mean, it's terrifying. It's a terrifying thought. And we have a comment here that's pretty interesting, since you were talking about, kind of like historical aspects of this. Vicus is mentioning in the comment section Finnish folklore, and he would like to know, what are your thoughts about Finnish folklore and Dogman? Are you familiar?
I think what he's trying to say, a lot of European countries have folklore when it comes to like Dogman or some type of canine being a demon, or being something that comes in your dreams at night, or something to that effect. As far as that, I don't know a whole lot about it. I know that in certain parts of Europe is very much like what's going on in the UK. The way they look at what this thing is. It kind of goes back to Red Riding Hood. The wolf in Red Riding Hood was basically, I mean, if you think about it, it was a dog man. This thing was able to put clothes on and, convince this child, that it was her grandmother, after she ate her grandmother. And if you look at the story, that story had to resonate from something. So because why would you have a wolf that is so clever, that's able to talk and able to do what it does in Red Riding Hood, and not think that this thing is not a dog man, in the story. And it's kind of like the folklores are kind of like that story. It's a story, but they all have base to it. I'm hoping that's what is what he's trying to say, or what he's trying to ask.
Yeah. He also says there's a story of them kidnapping a 5-year-old girl and torturing and mutilating her to death. Are you familiar with that?
You know what? Yeah, I heard something about it was in, it happened in Europe, but I have no idea where it happened in Europe. But see, here's the thing. The story that I heard was that it was in a cemetery, and that these dog-headed creatures were wearing like a cape when they did the abduction, but they were very dog in body, dog in head, dog in characteristic, but they had like a cape. That's the story I heard, but I had no idea where it originated from. But it was, they took a child and they tortured the child. It was almost like a sacrifice type thing, But I also had a couple stories here in the United States where people have seen dogs walking on 2 legs with capes in cemeteries. So, but like I said, I don't know if that's the same thing he's talking about, but the story that I heard did originate somewhere in Europe, but it was in a cemetery, where these things were wearing capes. So I'm like I said, it may not be the same thing he's talking about.
Right. Yeah, and I'm not really familiar with either one. Actually, I don't think I've heard that. But it's always interesting to hear about dogman sightings where dogman's wearing clothes, and I feel like that kind of throws me off a little bit. I don't know how everybody else feels about it, but I don't think I think that the Hollywood concept of a werewolf is probably just a concept, and I think that Dogman is something a little more real than that. So, have you heard any believable stories or anything that has any merit to it about Dogman wearing clothes by any chance?
Well, one, I just talked about 2 weeks ago. I talked to a Canadian soldier, that was in Afghanistan, and they were in the Kandahar Valley. Okay, they were in an area by a small village, and they were outside, but they were close to the village, and they were like in a trench line. Basically, how there was like basically big, cut in the ground there, and they were there. And he said they're sitting there, and all of a sudden, all these children start running. He said they were anywhere from maybe 5 to about 12 years old. Okay, running and screaming, and then here comes a pack of dogs running behind them. So they're thinking, well, these dogs are going to get these kids, so they start shooting at the dogs. Okay, but he said the dogs just kept running, and then what he said his partner ended up shooting a piece of smoke off the 203. No, I'm sorry, he was the one that shot smoke off the 203 to kind of to get them I guess the dogs stopped from not seeing the kids basically. And then his one of the guys who was with them, who was able to see this thing come through the smoke on all fours. He said it was huge. And it stands up and it starts walking. And he said this thing was a dog, but it kind of looked like a hyena also, a mixture between both. And very human arms, short snout, the ears, and it's walking through the smoke, and they're seeing this thing, and it comes out the smoke. And he said it had like a piece of cloth that was tied around its waist. And then they fired at it and it went away. He said this thing was 8 feet, 500 pounds max.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's insane. I haven't heard that for sure, but you said that's a recent one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll have to look into that a little bit and see if there's anything online. Have you tried to look up anything about it, or?
Well, the Skinwalker Ranch, there's sightings of a dogman werewolf type creature that's been seen in the Skinwalker Ranch area and outside the Skinwalker Ranch, where it's wearing like a loincloth, cloth around its waist. I actually have a few drawings of what people have seen there, and where this thing is. Like you said, it's running on 2 legs, looks like a dog, but it has cloth around its waist for one reason or another. I don't know. And those are the only 2 that I ever heard.
Yeah. I've heard so many different things about, somebody saw a dog man with a ripped shirt and like he had transformed and grown and his clothing ripped off.
Here's something interesting. In Erlanger, Kentucky, which is, right across the river from me, there was a woman that was jogging, and this is in a residential area, okay? And there's this area that has probably 10 acres, 15 acres of woods there, and she's running, and in the tree line, she sees this werewolf wearing a white shirt. She said this thing, it was real. This was not somebody in a costume. She said it was a dog-looking werewolf standing up wearing a white shirt. And I have the drawing. There was what's his name? There's a researcher in Kentucky that did he wrote a couple books about Bigfoot and some of these other creatures down there. But his mother saw a dog man with a shirt on looking in her window.
So strange.
But here's my theory on that. Okay. I don't believe in transformation. Okay, it's physically impossible. It would literally kill somebody. Your bones would have to be cartilage. Okay, it would destroy your organs, literally. Okay, and if your bone was cartilage, you fall, you're broke. Okay, so transformation is bull crap. Okay, I think these things try to mimic people, thinking if they put a shirt on or tie a piece of cloth around them, they're going to blend in. They're smart. They're intelligent. Okay. These things are problem solvers. Okay.
Yeah, definitely. And Deborah even said just a little while ago in the comments section that Bigfoot is smarter. But I think Dogman, I think he thinks about things in a way that's more human-like, where, you know, maybe just what we know about Bigfoot, maybe he has more animal instinct.
Bigfoot has common sense. I don't think he has intelligence. Okay. He has common sense. And here's the thing. If the normal human had a choice between common sense and intelligence, people would take common sense. Common sense keeps you alive. Okay. Intelligence, to me, it doesn't. I mean, because, you know, if you're intelligent, I mean, you look at Sheldon Cooper on Big Bang Theory. He's intelligent, but the guy has no common sense. And he portrays that. He has no common sense. Okay. Common sense gets you hurt, you know, and, you know, I think Bigfoot has common sense, and he's smart enough to know, you know, to turn left than right, you know, and things. He sees us things. He's smart enough to know that, you know, we do stuff. It's like, I've got a really beautiful picture. That was, we have this old cemetery here and right up the road from where I live. We've had a lot of Bigfoot sightings in my area, and we have this cemetery. The last person that was buried in this cemetery was, you know, the late 1700s, early 1800s. Okay. And we have a president that's buried up there too, and I can't think of his name at the top of my head. I'll think of it here in a minute. But they have a monument for him, and he's buried right up here, you know, up there. So you have to go up these concrete steps, you know, to get to the cemetery. And a lot of people like to go up there and take pictures because it's really beautiful. It really is. Well, she walked up there, and she's at the top of the steps, and she sees what she said was a gorilla digging in the ground. And she snapped the picture and hauled ass. So I've got the picture, and you can see it. He's right next to a tombstone. Okay, but you see his arm out digging. You see the head. You're able to see the ear really well. Let me see if I can find it, and I'll send it to you. You can probably post it.
Yeah.
It's neat, man. This thing, you know, you see the arm is very much like a gorilla's arm, you know, like I was talking about with the hair and everything. But yeah, it's unique. It's different, you know. Yeah. Okay. Give me a second here, and
yeah, no problem. I'll check out some comments while you're doing that. James, I see that you're talking about probably Land Between the Lakes. Clarify that for me, please, because we're a little ways off from that part of the conversation. Give us your insight of the solo crossbow hunter. We'll get to that in just a second. I want to do a few questions, and then I want to get into the pictures because, guys, he's got some really cool pictures that I want to show you all. And I don't know. Let's see. We're going to squeeze them in. We're going to squeeze them in one way or the other because there's a lot, but they're really, really worth it. Let's see here. Tori King, Strange World We Live In. Yeah, absolutely. Another good question, James. Let's see. Vicus says, what are your thoughts about people transforming into werewolves? Which he talked about that just a second ago. And I have to agree with Joedy on this, Vicus. I think that I cannot believe. I want to believe it. I mean, I always want to believe in everything paranormal, but I can't bring myself to believe in transformation either. So I totally agree with Joedy on that. I think that it's physically impossible. And I know a lot of people who believe in Dogman and werewolves and stuff like that, they're really, you know, kind of stuck on this part of it. But I don't know. I think Dogman would have to be a supernatural creature, like, you know, possibly an entity, a spectral entity. You know what I mean?
Well, the thing about I just sent the pictures to you through message.
Okay.
The thing about Dogman, we did a podcast one night for like 2.5 hours. It was great. And asking people, what do you think Dogman is? And believe it or not, we said, is it flesh and blood, supernatural, or extraterrestrial? And believe it or not, more people think this, Dogman is, supernatural. Something that's able to come through dimensions and things. And actually, extraterrestrial was like the second one. So there's something different about this. There's something really good to look into is the hollow earth theory, where there's a world inside our world, and it has a lot of interest to it, because even Hitler even searched for it. Now, this is a cemetery. You can see the tombstone where it's at. It's along the tree line. And now, if you hit the second one, you can see where the face, the hair, the ear, and the arm where it's digging down into the ground.
Wow, that is a very good picture, and that's definitely something. And what's awesome about this picture is there's so much green. This thing stands out perfectly, even at kind of a low resolution picture.
Well, if you look, you can even see the eyes in this thing, and But see, here's the thing, I believe, that they see us burying our dead, and I think they buried their dead. Could this thing be burying a young one? And I never really thought about that, but I don't want to go to a cemetery and dig it up and go to jail.
Yeah.
but this thing was digging. Now, I want you to go back to the bigger picture, and I want you to look up at the head. Okay, do you see a face there?
I absolutely see a face there, and that is not pareidolia.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm trying to. Oh God, what is that president's name? Oh God, I can't remember. But he looks like that president. Now look next to the face. Look down. You see the two eyes that look like an alien standing there.
Now that I don't think I.
Look at the lips and go to the other side. Not where the side that Bigfoot is, but go to the other side from where the lips and the mustache is. You see like two black dots together.
Yeah, I think I see what you're talking about.
But what I'm trying to say is that you see how pixels make something that's not there.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, but when you look at the face, you see the eyes, you see the nose, you see the shadow under the nostrils, you see the lip, and you see the mustache. In that face right there.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, we talk a lot about, this type of anomaly too.
Right.
Here on the channel, where people will think that they've captured, the paranormal, and then it turns out it's just pareidolia, or it's, some type of artifact. So we talk about that a lot, and I see this cryptid entity. I mean, to me, that kind of looks like a dog man.
I thought that at first, because if you look, it looks like it does have a snout. And look, when you look at the ear, it's kind of protrude. But the thing of it is, this thing's massive. Look at the arm. I mean,
know. Yeah.
So it's and this is 3 minutes drive time from my house.
Wow, that's crazy. Sock in the chat section says it looks like an orangutan. It does kind of look like an orangutan, but the only problem is we don't have those running around in Ohio. No. So wow.
We don't. And in my particular area, see, right down the road is an area called Sedansville, which is very active paranormal. Okay. It was an Indian reservation, and Colonel Sedan came in and massacred all the men, women, and children, and even the clergy that was there to teach about Christianity. And they've been sightings of Bigfoot in that particular area. But a lot of, people are like seeing Native Americans cowering in their basements and their closets. There was a recreation center there, and there was a woman that came out of the stall, and she said there's a woman wearing a white bonnet and a black dress. telling her you have to run and hide, the cavalry's coming, and she disappears. I mean,
Oh, wow.
So this area where I live in is really spooked.
Yeah, it is. Kentucky and Ohio, they both kind of are. And I think West Virginia, too. That's a really spooky place. It seems like we have a lot of haunted history and lots of, maybe like cryptid stuff going on, too, because there's so many sightings. And Samuel in the comments says, I would like to know the general location of the Kentucky Dogman in the state. Samuel, do you mean LBL? Possibly. I'll wait just a second for him to clarify that for me. And we got a couple more questions, and then I want to get to the rest of your pictures. You have some really awesome pictures that they have to see. Let's see here. A question. James wants to know, it seems like the eyewitness testament have increased. 50 years ago, encounters or sightings were much less. Why is that?
Well, the thing of it is, a lot of this stuff, today we're a more open society, okay, where people talk about things. Back in, the 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, people didn't talk about stuff like this because honestly, you talked about it, you were put into a lunatic asylum, and that's how things were. If you saw ghosts, you saw monsters. I mean, people went, got locked away for that stuff. We live in a time now where, everything's open. I mean, we talk about UFOs, Bigfoot. I mean, there are beef jerky commercials. I mean, UFO stuff. I mean, everybody believes it, so it's a different time. We're more open society now than we were. We're a very closed society because back then, even though, our country was spreading democracy around the world, but we were still a closed community. People, you stay within your own town. Here's the thing. Back in the 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, even going up to the 70s, probably the 80s, most people, when they left home, they only moved within, a 3-mile radius, maybe 10-mile radius of where they grew up. They stay within the area. The only time people left, their area, out of state or something was either for financial reasons or disaster or marriage or job or military. That was it. Everybody stayed within their own little community. And if, there was a legend, it stayed there. It didn't go out.
Yeah, definitely. I totally agree with that. I think that's, definitely the most logical explanation. Samuel says statewide because I hunt in Lee County. So
in Kentucky, okay, LBL is the most well-known area. Okay, there are sightings in eastern Kentucky. There are sightings in northern Kentucky. Like I said, in Erlanger area, the Covington area, going all the way down into Florence. But the one thing I found out about Kentucky is that it's not spreaded throughout the whole state. There's only about 3 areas in the state where the majority of the sightings are taking place. Now, with that being said, okay, you take Spotsville, okay, and you have a legend called the Spotsville Monster. Depending on who's describing it, it's either a Bigfoot or it's a Dogman. It's either or. No one really knows what it is. But majority of Kentucky, it's only into like about 3 areas down there. The whole eastern part, the northern, tip part of Kentucky, and the southern part down there by the LBL area. That's the only areas that we're getting reports of. I'm sure there's stuff all over the state, but all what we're getting is just from these 3 particular areas, which is odd, which is odd. But you have to understand, there's a ton of Bigfoot stuff activity all through Ohio or on through Kentucky. Now, we did an investigation when I was with the American Bigfoot Society in eastern Kentucky along the, I think it was West Virginia or Virginia border. I can't remember. But there was something there that was killing things, killing animals. Okay. You know, they don't know if it was a Bigfoot. They don't know if it was a dogman. They don't know what it was. Now, the cattle would never go by the lake there to drink water anymore. The farmer would have to sit there and bring troughs in so the horses and cows would eat, because they would not go near the water. So we set a bait trap up there for like 3 days. Nothing ate the bait. Nothing. No raccoons, squirrels, nothing. And it was by a tree by the lake there. You know, so we decided, you know, we're going to go ahead and, you know, stake out the area. And I'm sitting on a hill in the wood line looking down at the lake. I'm hearing something move behind me. I mean, it's big. I mean, it's big moving. And I'm getting scared. I mean, because this thing is trampling. So I'm up against a tree and I hear it come off to my left. And it came around and it went, scared the crap out. I almost pissed myself. It was it was a cow.
Oh,
you know,
God.
you know, I mean, but it made it up the hill where I was. I swear to God, I almost had a heart attack.
Oh yeah, I would too.
You know, but you know, but it wouldn't go down where it wouldn't go any further, and for some reason it wouldn't. So what they did, they set the slide camera up, okay, in this area right outside of the house, and they ran it 24/7, and they actually put it on where people can watch it, see if they see anything. And one night that you hear a dog bark, and it's going ballistic, a big dog, and then you hear it get scared, and you hear it yipe, and then you hear it yipe, and it's dead. Whatever this thing was, carried the dog off with a big metal chain around its neck and took the dog house that the chain was connected to. They found the dog house and the chain about a mile up the hill, but the dog was gone. So they had no idea. They never were able to find out what this thing was. But they got it on camera. They got the audio of this dog getting killed. And it's horrendous, man. It was horrendous.
Yeah, it sounds like it.
Yeah.
I think we had a question here. I believe I've lost it. Oh, okay. Sock wants to know, I wonder if Bigfoot and Dogman have their own languages. Do you think they communicate with languages or maybe just animal type actions?
Well, you know, George Clapperson, the guy that I did the Bigfoot stuff with, was in his car camping in an area, had a audio recorder out, and he got vocalization of something that was like right by the car where they were talking. And I mean, it was, you know, he still has it. I need to get it from him because it's I mean, this thing is this vocalization it's community. There are two things talking, and it's just and actually one of the words actually sounded like a word, a French word, which was kind of unique. And when he had it analyzed, they said it had every single vowel except for U. If they were able to determine A-E-I-O-U, you know, which is odd because everybody uses all those in communication.
Yeah.
But they said that was the only thing. I believe Bigfoot has, you know, a language. I do. Dogman, you know, I don't know, but you know, I have a German Shepherd, and he understands me. And as weird as it sounds, when you know, I'll say something to him and he'll bark or he'll make like a type of sound to me, and I know what it is, what he wants. I know that he wants something to eat. I know he wants, you know, to go for, I can't say it because he's laying right here, but you know.
Yeah, we don't want to get him too excited right now.
Because he knows, literally I can spell it and he'll know what it is. I'm not kidding.
Oh yeah, dogs are super smart. Even my cats, I have 4 cats, for those of you who don't know. I'm a cat hoarder pretty much at this point, and they know.
Crazy old cat lady.
Yeah, totally. I totally am. I mean, my oldest cat, Percy, I can be like, hey, Percy, let's go, in here. Let's go in there. And I don't even have to make a movement or a gesture, and he knows what I'm saying. And so yeah, Dogman has to have that ability, and maybe even an enhanced ability. And also, Sock, don't forget, like Deborah mentioned, Ron Moorhead, the Sierra sounds. I have a video on that if you want to check it out, and you can actually hear the language, the voices, whatever it is that they're doing. But it's a pretty eerie recording too, the Sierra sound. So
it is. I mean, but what George got is different from what the Sierra sounds are, because this was almost like human speech was the best way I can describe it. It was almost like human speech, but it was like, a foreign language. But like I said, there was one word in there that we both said we noticed that sound French, but there again, okay, but look at this. Okay. These things have been around in our country for hundreds of years. Okay. Native Americans, they spoke their own language, but they were able to speak English, French, and Spanish. Okay, because they dealt with all people. So, could Bigfoot pick up the dialects of English, Spanish, in their language? I mean, just mind-boggling to even think about, how intelligent these things are, on communication.
Yeah.
I think they're very human, when it comes to like family orientation, things to that. I believe they mourn on a death. They're able to love, they're able to hate, and you look at the human species, we have people who are good, we have people who are bad, and we have people who are just not right. Okay.
Yep.
So, and you would have to think Bigfoot, they have good, they have bad, and they have some that just ain't right. But look at it this way. Okay. You take Bigfoot as a whole, okay, all around the world. Characteristics from North America, South America, or North America, United States, China, Russia, Australia, they're all basically the same, but they have different characteristics. So they would have to be a species, but different breeds of the species, like canines. They're the canine species, but they're different breeds of canines. Okay. Just like humans, we're human beings, but we have different races. We're not different breeds. We call them races. So we're all have the same characteristics, as a human, but we have our own individual identity as a race.
Yeah.
So, same, and that's how it has to be with the Bigfoot species. Same thing with Dogman. It's just a different breed depending on what part of the country or part of the world that these things are being seen in.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that the best evidence for that for Dogman is that some people describe Dogman as looking hyena-like, and then others say that he's not, And so I definitely think there's at least 2 different looking types of Dogmans for sure, just because there's so many stories and so much evidence of it.
The canine, your basic canine and your hyena are the 2 most known of the Dogman, the characteristic, your Van Helsing style werewolf, basically, and the hyena. But you kind of getting into characteristics where, he's very canine from the waist up, but his legs are very human. So, because we find tracks that are very human tracks, but they're three-toed with claws.
Right, and I think you have a picture of that too, don't you? You have a picture we're going to talk about here in a little bit of some toes.
I don't think that it's any of the ones that I sent you, but I can send you one of the Akron, Ohio case where the ranger saw it, and I talked to him within 12 hours after his sighting. I got up and drove 5 hours to Cleveland when I got that call in the middle of the night to talk to this guy, and he saw it. He's in his vehicle. He sees a large canine looking at him. It's just starting to snow. Okay. He had a sandwich or a hamburger or something like that left over, and he tried to get the dog to come over to get it, to feed him, because it was cold. And it wouldn't. And he said it just had this eerie look on its face the way it was looking at him. So he throws it over to him, and he ignores it. So he gets in his vehicle, backs the vehicle up, and the vehicle's looking at him, at the Dogman. And he said this, and the lights are on it, and there's lights that are out there in the park, in the parking area there in the Metro Park. And he says this thing stands up and just walks at a fast pace and crosses the road, and there's a condominium right across the street from there where these things are coming out and eating in the dumpsters. And the people are seeing these things, but they don't know what they are. But they're like, wow, man, these dogs are big and they're standing on two legs eating out of the dumpsters. And they don't know what the heck this thing is. They just think they're dogs.
Oh, yeah. Oh, my God. If I saw something like that, see, because I'm always on the lookout for Dogman. If I saw that, I think I would move the very next day. I would be out of there. So we went from where it was standing and backtracked. We found 168 tracks where this thing leaded out of the wood line to come up to where he was. And the tracks were all human style, but they were three toes with claw marks. Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, yeah. It's weird. It was weird, man.
Torian King wants to know, do you think Bigfoot and Dogman have the ability to cloak and be invisible?
That falls into the supernatural realm, and to me it goes back to, the Hollow Earth theory, where these things like Mothman, Dogman, Bigfoot, Loveland Frogman, whatever type of other cryptids live down below Earth and they come up, and that's why we see them. Are there portals and out there where these things can come and go? I think it's a possibility, where I think that's why we have a lot of missing people. They might have walked into a portal, or something, different dimension, and they're trapped there. And maybe Bigfoot is able to coming through those. I don't know, but does that make him supernatural, where he has the ability to do that? Or is it just he knows that there's portals and they know where they are and they're able to come and go? As I say, I don't know. Yeah.
I think that, as far as cloaking goes, if you mean camouflage, I think Dogman's definitely good at that. And we have a lot of evidence, like we've been talking about tonight, that Dogman thinks, more like a human than more, of an animal. So
yeah, but you have to understand, animals coding is there for a reason.
Exactly.
To blend into the environment. Okay. How many times have someone walked through the woods and a deer jumped out in front of them, or a rabbit, or something to that effect, and you didn't see it, but it was there because it blended into the environment.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I almost got bit by a rattlesnake because of that very thing.
Yeah, because they blend. So that's why their code is the way it is. And like I said, Bigfoot, when we saw the Bigfoot, he was standing right there, standing right next to the tree, and we didn't see him. He blended in. He blended in that well. Like I said, we didn't notice him until he moved. And if he would not have moved, we would have never seen him. So, all right, let's get to some pictures.
Yeah. All right. I don't know which ones to pull up first, so I'm going to take a pot shot here. This one. I really like this one. Let me pull it up.
Was that the one of me in the shower?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, okay.
And also I wanted to throw this out here to James, because James said something about like what happens if a cryptid gets hurt or something like that. I definitely think that cryptids, specifically Bigfoot, they, like Joedy said, they bury their dead. And I think that explains a lot. If one of them gets hurt, they probably, others probably come and remove the body or something. And elephants do that. Elephants bury their dead.
A lot of creatures do that. People don't understand. Now, this particular picture here was was taking there's the guy that delivers fuel to a construction company, okay, for their vehicles, and he pulls in, and the guys are standing around and they're looking at this track, and they lay down the glove to get the size of the track. Well, they've been seeing all these canine tracks all around, and then they saw this dog climb up on top of the building and stand there and look at them. And that's what they said. This thing climbed up the side of the building and got up there and was looking at them. And they took a picture of it, and that's it there standing, or kneeling down on the top of the building watching them. Now, I sent you a map in the picture of the glove.
Let me see if I can find that real quick. I love this picture. I mean,
right there. Go back down.
This one?
No. Yeah, that's it.
Okay.
The truck next to the buildings, that's where they were. And that's where the thing was on top of the building. It was that big that they were able to see it.
Wow, that's insane. I knew that it was big, but I didn't realize it was that big because I haven't seen this map.
Yeah.
So yeah. And there's not a whole lot that you can dispute about that picture, because there's obviously something there. Very, very obviously it stands out. You can kind of see a little bit of a shape to it. The shape, I guess, could be objective, but there's definitely something there. And what type of normal animal would or could go on the roof of a building like that?
Well, they said it was a dog because there's tracks there, and whatever it was that morning. It was standing on top of the fuel tank, and it jumped down and ran on two legs by the tracks. And they said they watched this thing climb up the side of the building. They get up there away from them, and it was watching them. Now, wow. They said this thing was probably about 5.5, maybe 6 feet. So he was probably a juvenile, and he was being careless and basically got caught, So, but they would find these large canine tracks when they would get there in the morning, where it comes down and walks around there. So.
Wow, that's crazy. So, this next one, I'm going to pull this one up. I don't know if there's any other associated pictures with it. This one's really interesting to me. Yeah,
this was in northern Indiana. There was a woman that kept seeing this animal walk around in the woods. She thought it was a bear, until she actually was able to see it closer at one point. Now, what happened was, where she saw it, realized what it was that she was putting her child in the car, and it was standing on the other side of the car, and she was able to see it through the window. and she was only seeing it from like the waist up. So it came over to her in the car while she's putting her kid in the car. You know, so it wasn't a bear. So it would hang out in this back field, and it was walking, and what it's doing, it's kneeling down. But, you know, you can see the face, you can see the ears, and you can see where, you know, the body, you know, on this thing. And she took a picture of it, you know, watching her.
Yeah, and I can even tell without knowing that it is kneeling, that it's kind of in like a maybe like a curious leaning position, like it's you know, maybe wondering, should I run? Should I do this? Should I approach?
Well, yeah, because
as pixelated as it is, you can still kind of get the feeling of the body language there, I think.
Yeah. I mean, because it's looking. I mean, they're looking at each other, and it was taken by a cell phone. So, yeah.
Yeah. Well, someday cell phones will be able to take better pictures, but this is a pretty good one. So now, do these come through to NADP?
Yeah.
Yeah. So for anybody who doesn't know, which I'm sure you all know, Joedy is a co-founder or the founder of NADP. And all of the links for their social media and their website and stuff is in the description. So you have to go over and check out their website and stuff. He posts a lot of this cool stuff there.
Our website, our original website was awesome. This new one is, you know, crap, because Google screwed everybody and went to a new format. So we had to change to go to this format, and the templates were not the best templates. So we have a lot to still do with the website. So it's a North American Dogman project.com. But it's up and running, but we're adding a lot more stuff to it. We're trying to change the templates in it so we can put a lot more stuff on there. So
yeah, so you all definitely check it out and then check back frequently. And there's always lots of cool stuff on there to check out. So this next one, what's the story behind this?
Okay, this is a print there was a sighting in Withrow Reserve. It's a forest, but it's a national reserve here in Cincinnati. And this particular picture it's a handprint. Okay, you can see the claw marks, you see the thumb, but looks like only 3 fingers there. But I think the middle one, I think there's 2 of them there together. But it's a handprint where this thing was kneeling down because it was digging in the ground. So it's interesting. It's not a deer print, because I found some deer prints, and deer prints are, obviously you can tell what a deer print look, but you can see that it's definitely a hand, and it's a large hand.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. It looks like it's pretty wide and definitely very long.
Yeah.
So.
Now there's some other pictures that's correlated with that particular sighting.
Okay. I think I know which.
Yeah, that one right there, below the artwork.
Oh, okay. This one?
Yeah. Now, this is where the sighting took place. Okay. A woman and her son, they go to this recreation area to walk around. Well, this particular trail, that's the second one there too. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Is closed off. And there's like a little ravine that runs through there, and there's a bridge so you can get over to go where this trail is. Well, the Recreation Commission took out the bridge to get there and blocked anybody from going into that area. And no one knows why they did it. They have signs saying trail closed. Okay. And like you said, they literally took the bridge out so you can't get there. So you have to like climb down into the ravine and climb up in order to get there. Well, that's what they did. And as they're coming down, they come around and they see 3 dogmen right there in that middle area.
So this is a composite of what they reported, right?
What they saw, one was laying down like the dog, one was behind it, and there was another one that they were all kneeling down right there, like they were digging in the ground or something. And what happened was they saw each other, and her and her son just kind of like moved back real slow. They're watching them. They got around the bend and they hauled ass and got away from there. They contacted us on Facebook, and we went up there, and that's when I found the handprint. You can see there was an area where it was dug at. And what's really neat, that tree, right? That where you see the tree there, it's flat on top, you know, where all the branches are like broken off and stuff, where something can sit right up on there and look right down at you. I mean, it's odd. And and like I said, you know, they blocked that area off where you can't go there. You know, they knew there's something there. And then we just had another sighting where, you know, a guy went up in that area, and he didn't know anything about it. And he went up there and he seen one and contacted in the same exact area. So
I would be interested to know if there's any claw marks on that tree, like maybe if they climbed it like a cat.
Oh, I looked at it, and I couldn't find anything where it might have climbed up it or anything like that, you know. But I mean, that whole area, it's just, there's no sound, no crickets. I see no birds, nothing, you know.
Okay, so what is this? Tell us about this one.
This was in Utah. Now, this is an interesting story, okay? There's this area in a rural area where there's about 5 houses in this area. Everybody has like horses and, you know, cattle and things like that, but they're kind of close together, and you can see each other, so they're not that far off. And so they know there was a Bigfoot in that area because they've all seen it. So they know there was one there. And then, but the Bigfoot never, hurt any of the animals or bothered anybody. And then horses and other animals are starting to get attacked. And then the residents said, well, one night they heard horrible screaming. Now they know what the Bigfoot sound like because they've heard them before. But this other animal, they had no idea what it is. And they're fighting each other. And they know the Bigfoot's fighting something. And then, you know, days go by, then weeks go by. They don't hear or see the Bigfoot anymore. It's gone. So they're starting to see evidence of animals being attacked. And so the girl was looking out her back window where the horse corral is, because she heard the horses go nuts. And she's seen this thing crawling along the corral. You know, she says it's a big dog crawling like an army man, is the way she described it. You know, trying to where the horses don't see it. She goes, it was hairy. It had a snout, had the high pointed ears, and that's the drawing of what she saw.
This is exactly what I saw too. The only thing is I didn't see like a ruff of hair on the back because, you know, it was dark and it happened so quickly, and I wasn't able to see a head, but I saw the body.
Right.
You know, and it was crawling across the highway out there on Christie Creek.
Now, if you go up a little bit on your pictures, you can see the horse that was attacked.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I know where the horse picture is. I believe I have it.
Right
okay,
there.
So.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
That's one of the horses that's got attacked. And you can see the claw marks. I mean, on there where, you know, and the thing of it is that how this thing is intelligence, you know, where we talk about intelligence, this thing was toying with this woman. Now, she found, and I've got a picture of it, she found a doe. Okay. I guess that's what you call a baby deer or a fawn or something. I think it was a fawn is what you call it. And the throat was ripped out, but the genitals were ripped out also. That's the only 2 parts on the animal. So it was laying on the trail. Okay. Now she's an animal fanatic. Okay. You know, tree hugger and all this other stuff, you know. So she decides she's going to go get a shovel and bury it. Okay, she comes back, it's not there. Okay, she thought, well, maybe a predator took it. So the next day, she decides she's going to walk down the trail to see if she sees it, there it is, laying in the same spot. Okay, so she goes back to get the shovel, and it's gone. So she's like, something's odd happening here. So 2 days later, her husband goes, walking the trail, and he sees it. So he goes back to get a shovel to bury it, and he comes back with his wife, and it's gone. So this thing is playing with them, with this dead fawn.
Oh, wow.
It's weird, man. I mean, some of the stuff that, that is going on in that neighborhood, with this, I mean, it's attacking the animals. And here's the neat thing. It's clawing the trees. It's clawing the trees where it's, I mean, like this one tree, I mean, it's just so clawed up. I mean, just literally clawed up.
Yeah, I was actually going to ask you about that, is that's kind of like a calling card from what I understand. And also, Adam was mentioning last night that, roadkill, if it disappears, he said that's, a possible sign of Dogman in the area. So, and kind of like what you're talking about with the doe disappearing.
Right.
It's like, does Dogman like to play with his food, or is he just taking evidence?
No, I think he's that's his way to let people know he's there. Now, did Adam tell you about the deer skull on the post?
I don't think he got to that story.
Okay. Now, when we were there doing the filming, okay, that day we found, Adam found a deer head that was put on a post. Okay. And that was back in September when we did that?
October.
Okay. It's there today. It is still there on that post today. Okay. That's a warning.
Seems like it.
That's a warning. That head has been up there for what? October, November, December, January, February, March, April. It's been up there for 7 months. Okay, it still almost has flesh on it, but it's the skull. And Adam sent you the pictures of it.
Yeah, I can't remember if we got to that one last night or not, because we had so much going on and so much to get to. He's going to come back, and if he didn't tell it last night, maybe he can tell it next time. But that's really spooky. Yeah. I mean, it's like evidence like that tells us that Dogman is smarter than probably what he needs to be, considering how dangerous he is physically too. So he's to me he's almost like a demon. Yeah, definitely. So tell us a little bit about this one, because this picture has made its way around the internet quite a bit at this point.
Yeah, and people's not giving us credit for it, and it's really I had to sit there and talk to a couple people on YouTube, who took the picture and try to take claim to it, and I had to kind of get that straightened out. This is at Jedediah Redwood National Forest in California. Okay. There was a guy who is a avid Star Trek fan. Okay. Now, Star Trek: The Next Generation filmed in that particular spot. Okay. On some of their episodes. Okay. So he wanted to go out there and get some pictures of the area. Okay. Where it was filmed. Now, where that thing is standing in the tree line. Okay. There was 2 people there. Okay. He saw them, and then he's walking ahead, and they're still, and he's going past this, and he hears them scream. So he goes back. He don't see them, but he sees this thing standing there. Okay, and he snaps a picture. You can see perfectly what this thing is. You see the high pointed ears. You see the snout. Okay, you see the light of the hair sticking up from where the sun is hitting. Okay, that's a Dogman. That what he got on in that picture. That I think is one of the best pictures of Dogman. Now, if you go down to the next picture below it, okay. Now, what I did, that's a Dogman compared to a bear, so you can kind of see the difference between a black bear and what a Dogman looks like. Okay, if you can go down to the next picture below that, see if.
Let me scroll through here.
All right, right there, that one. Okay, so what I did was kind of get, of what this thing was standing in that area like. Okay, I did the graphics, so you can kind of see there. That's what a dog man would look like. Now there's one of a bear that I did right there. So it kind of gives you a difference, so you can see, what the body size and the body type between a bear and a dog man.
Oh yeah, definitely a big difference.
Definitely a big difference. So that's why that was not a bear, standing there. That's a dog man. And
yeah,
he said
and it's so crazy how this picture, someone had said something a while back to me about like, oh, there's this, picture, I want you to look at it and see if you think it's fake. And it was this picture. And I was like, oh my God, I know where this picture came from. And so, I told them that it came to NADP and all that. And it's just all over the place. And I think most people think that it's fake or that it's like some kind of screen cap from a movie or something.
Well, if you look at the picture, the light part in front of the face is the snout. It's looking down at something on the ground. Okay. Yeah. Now the body type on this is very typical of a dog man. Slender waist, massive chest. Okay. And the arms, I think the arms are kind of going out a little bit, but I mean, that's a beautiful picture, man.
Yeah, it's impressive.
Yeah, it is.
Definitely. Yeah, I can't look at it enough. It's so crazy. So let's see, what else we got here? This one is intriguing.
Yeah, this one's kind of neat. This was in Wisconsin. Okay, there's this guy and his kid walking down this road. His wife's behind him. They're snapping pictures. Okay, now the picture you can see him. That's the father right there. No, I'm sorry, that's the son. And you see this thing right there. Okay, and now they know there's a tree trunk there because you can see it in the next picture. Now that's the picture that was taken in the same area the following day. So you can see the trunk very well. And then you see this thing right there. It's standing in front of the trunk. Okay. Now, can you find the other picture? The other one I sent you?
Let's see. What does the other one?
I think it's down at the bottom.
Down at the bottom.
Keep going. Let's see.
I'm not seeing one.
Yeah, I thought I just saw it. Right there.
Oh, right here. Yes, I see it.
Okay, now that you can see the massive head, the mouth is open. You can see the front leg, the back leg, where this thing is like at its stance, it's almost ready to pounce. I mean, you see the tip of the nose, you see the eyes, and you see the ears. Okay, this thing was there, but they never saw it because it's standing in front, and it looks, the mouth is open. Okay, this thing is standing in front of the tree trunk. Okay, and they never knew, because they knew the tree trunk was there, because they know they're there all the time. Okay, so I think they got a dog man. I think they had got a dog man on all fours that was sitting still and watching them, and either was getting ready to pounce if they noticed them, or not. But it's just it's a weird picture.
Yeah, definitely. My first instinct on this picture is like, maybe it's pareidolia, but when you look at it, the other exposure of it, the darker red version,
I did that.
It brings out a shadow. I think everybody can see my mouse pointer. Hopefully, there's a shadow along what looks like the back of this creature, and that tells me that there's most likely depth because of this shadow. And this shadow is, I mean, it could just be a trick. It could be just, dead pixels not developing well enough, but it definitely looks like there is depth behind the outline of this. Yeah. And if it wasn't for that depth, I would probably say that this might just be really good pareidolia, but I'm thinking that this might really be something for sure.
Oh,
And
yeah.
it totally looks like it. I
Well,
mean,
yeah, I mean, the black and white, the black and white picture is so much better where you can, where you can see it perfect in the black and white picture.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's yeah, you might want to go down a little bit. I mean, you can see it. It's perfect right there. So, but it's obviously it's bigger than the tree trunk, because you can see the picture, the tree trunk, and you can see everything blends in. This thing is darker and it stands out.
Yeah, definitely. There's really something strange about that. Cinder wants to know, Dogman is I'm not going to try to pronounce that, Cinder. Is it Canidae? I don't know. I'm not good with words like that. Dogman, is he a pack animal? Pack animals like dogs, coyotes, wolves, etc. usually make some noise at certain points in time. Do Dogman roam and howl in packs?
I think they run in packs, but I think you have a couple rogues. Okay. Now, I got a story up in Akron from a hunter. Okay. Guy's 86 years old. He was out turkey hunting. He's in the woods and he hears the turkeys. So he has to go out of the wood line into like a small opening to get back into the wood lines where he hears the turkeys. So as he's getting out of the tree line, the turkeys stop. Okay. So he thought, well, maybe they heard me, so he's going to go slow. Now, when he got in the middle of that opening, he said, this is his exact words. He said, 5 dogs come running out at me, standing on, running on 2 legs, and they're standing on 2 legs. Okay. They make a circle around him. He said they look like German Shepherds, kind of like a wolf almost. He said they're about 6 foot, 7 foot, different sizes, but the alpha, the one that was, making most of the noise towards him, was smaller. But he said he thinks it was a female because he said the others were males, because he said I was able to see the genitalia. Okay, but he said the genitalia was not like a dog's genitalia. It was more kind of like a human genitalia, he said. But he said the other one he knew was a female because it didn't have genitalia on it that he could see. And it was coming towards him, like, the head's kind of turning and making the ground. He said, I put my gun towards him. He said it backed off. They all backed off. Okay. So they knew what a gun was. They know what a gun can do. But he said they kind of basically walked him out and back into the wood line. And he hauled ass. But when he described it, he said, they were dogs. He didn't say nothing about werewolves, dogman, anything. He said they were dogs. And he said that their hands were like human, but extremely long fingers. And he said how they were standing there is like when a dog begs, his hands are like forward a little bit, in that little manner, and he said they were kind of like that. But they were at all times, they were always on 2 legs.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah. So we had that one. Then you had Dave Lady on his sighting, where it let him know it was there, while the other one tried to flank him from the right. And that's when he shot it point blank in the chest twice with a .357 Magnum, and it didn't do nothing. So I think they're smart when it comes to hunting. I think they're like raptors. They let you see one of them while another one's coming around flanking you.
Yeah.
So I think they run in pairs, they run in packs, but I also believe they run rogues also.
Yeah, definitely agree with that. And I think somebody last night may have asked something that I wasn't able to get to, unfortunately. But I think somebody asked about the hunting techniques and flanking and things like that. And so, yeah, I think they definitely do those kinds of maneuvers.
Oh, it's smart. It shows intelligence.
Yeah.
Okay. It shows cooperation. Okay. But they're still able to communicate with each other. So that's the odd part.
Okay, so I'm going to pull up this picture here. I really like this picture. What is the story behind this one?
That is Adam Davies' first sighting of a dog man. He heard it outside. He goes outside the porch, and the cornfield's like right there. And he sees this thing standing in the cornfield looking at him, and he sees the amber eyes. Okay, so it's standing there looking at him. Okay, and because apparently it came up to the house looking in the window, but that was Adam's first sighting. And what's so odd with Adam, it's like these things are pursuing him because he's had multiple sightings. Which is not uncommon. For once they get your scent, they will stalk you.
Yeah, and we kind of talked about that a little bit last night. And I think he told the story last night of this one. I wish I had shown the picture. I think I didn't have it in the right folder at the time. So yeah, if you watched last night's stream, guys, you probably, the story that this goes with. It's so spooky. It's just such a spooky picture. I mean, it's a composite, guys. So I know there's some people out there who are like, that's not a real picture. No, it's a composite. But yeah, very, very spooky.
Yeah.
So how about this next one here?
Oh, this is a good one. There's this area of Germantown. Now, this is in Germantown area, all Adam's sighting. Now, there's how this woman's house sits. Okay. There's a street that goes off to the left. There's a street that comes off to the front. And then kind of the next street, you kind of have to go into a real short snake to get to it. So there are cornfields right out there. And right next to her house is an abandoned house that leads into a park. Okay, and then there's a church that sits right there. So her and her husband and their kids are sitting out on the porch. And her husband, says it's a summer evening. It's kind of getting twilight. The sun's going down, still light out. Husband says, I'm going to go on and get the kids ready for a bath and get them ready for bed. So she's sitting out on the porch there, and she sees this thing walk out of the cornfield like it's nothing. She said it was a werewolf. That's exactly what she said. It was a werewolf that came out of the cornfield. It was about 7 feet, maybe 300-400 pounds, walks over to the yard where the abandoned house is, and it's a one-level ranch house. And she said that it almost hit the top of the house. That's how big it was, and went into the woods. Now, when she saw this, she got scared. She's a gun owner. She goes, I got an AR-15. I ran out and got the AR-15. And I was out there. I was ready for this thing. I was going to protect my family. Okay. So that was her sighting. Okay. So we got to go out there and see this area. And, we found out there was a Carlisle police officer that was coming down the road and saw it too. And he ignored it because he knew, they knew these things were out there and they're told not to talk about it. Them and Germantown police. Okay. But, he saw it. He told us he saw it, so it's like, we're not supposed to talk about it, but yeah, I saw it. I saw across the road and stuff. I just said, so they know these things are out there. But what's so weird is that the church that sits there has a bulletin board on the outside with all these pictures of missing pets.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Which, and it's weird. So this is a dramatization of what she saw. So,
I love when we get reports of any type of supernatural stuff from police officers, because I think, it really doesn't get much better than that, because I definitely do not see any type of military or law enforcement lying just for fun.
Well, see, here's the thing. This is a proven fact. Okay. And this is nationwide. Police officers have a code for Bigfoot on a sighting. They're called black cows. Okay. For Dogman, they're called black dogs. These are nationwide codes that law enforcement uses when they're getting dispatched about a sighting.
That's fascinating. I had no idea that they had that. Yeah.
Oh yeah. I did. I talked to a lot of different police officers who who sent us reports and stuff, and we talked about it. This is just not in this area. This is all over. And the fact that they can't say werewolf or Bigfoot over the radio because people monitor that stuff. And now the law enforcement went to a new system where you can't do that anymore and stuff. But everybody had a police scanner. And so they had to sit there and come up with a code. If someone says, hey, there's a black cow that's been seen over on, Foster Avenue, no one thinks about it. Oh, someone's cow got out, because it happens. I mean, let me tell you how elusive these things are. Okay. Cincinnati is a pork town. Okay. Ohio is a dairy state. Okay. A cow got out of one of the slaughter yards here and went into a small park. Okay. For 7 days, this cow lived in this park. The police went into this park looking for it. They used thermal imaging on helicopters to look through this thing. And this thing a cow was able to hide for 7 days in a 65-acre, size park for 7 days undetected. Okay. Proven fact. Okay. So if they can't find a domestic cow in 65 acres of wood, surrounded by a community, okay, then how are you going to find Bigfoot and Dogman and a cornfield?
Yeah, exactly.
All right.
Yeah, cows are not the most nimble creatures. They're definitely they definitely don't go out of their way to hide and think about what they're doing. So
well, this thing was hiding to get away from the slaughterhouse. Okay.
Right. Yeah.
But this is that's not the first time that happened in Cincinnati. One got out and was running around the city and they couldn't find a thing. So animals can be elusive if they need to be elusive.
Yeah.
So
definitely. We got some comments here, some interesting tidbits. James says the alphas run off the males turning of age to ensure his blood will be kept in the line. That's a really good theory.
I respect that, because I really think they do. But I think dogs are independent. Okay. Dogs, I think when they get to you take Dogman when he gets to a certain age, he needs to go out and sow his oats, man. You know, and things, and he wants to go out looking for a mate. And he's going to go ahead and do it. And when they're younger, I'm sure they're defiant, just like every human, is defiant.
Oh yeah.
At a certain age. Everybody has a dog. We know how they are.
Yeah.
my dog trained me very well.
Oh, they do, don't they?
Yeah.
Sock says, how Kodiak bear conjugate in water during the salmon run. Shouldn't Bigfoot and Dogman be there too, since they're apex predators? I think they probably go for bigger fish, pun intended.
The thing of it is, Bigfoot. Here's my theory. Okay, Dogman. We'll talk about that in a minute. Bigfoot is a different type of an animal. Okay, he has to sustain a certain calorie intake to survive. Okay, normal human is 1,200 to 1,800. Is what it should be. Most men go about 2,000, 2,500 calorie intake. Not on an everyday basis, but they stay within that range. We eat a lot of junk. Women normally stay between 12 and 18 100 calories a day because they're more disciplined than men are. So you take something. No, I mean that's fact.
Yeah.
I mean that's fact. Okay, they're more disciplined when it comes to stuff like that. Now you take a Bigfoot that's 500 pounds, 800 pounds. Okay, his calorie intake is going to have to be 5,000. Okay, it's going to be 3,000 above. Okay, to maintain his intake. So I don't believe in the theory that Finding Bigfoot says that they sleep during the day and they go out hunting at night. Okay, and they have a couple of watchers out watching the herd. That's bullshit. Okay, that animal is going to spend every waking moment looking for food. Okay, he's going to eat, get his belly full, and he's going to sleep. He's going to get back up and he's going to do it all over again in a 24-hour period. He's going to eat, sleep, because he's going to spend every waking moment looking for food. He has to. Okay, so the food he's most likely going to eat is vegetation, rodents, bugs, plant life. Okay, if he's able to get protein meat or something like that, he'll get it. If he's able to get fish, he's going to get it. Okay, but his main diet's going to be small rodents, herbs, or what are they, not herbs, but what do they call that? Stuff buried in the ground. I know you're all laughing at me. I had three glasses of wine through this day. So okay, but
no, that's definitely the way to start off the stream. I agree.
Yeah, but you know what I'm saying? It's just
So it's more about quantity than quality.
Exactly. He's gonna do what he needs to do to fill. Okay, so and that's common sense. And I tell you what, I had a biologist freaking go off on me because I said that. Okay, because I said that. How does this person know that what the calorie intake is on something like that? I mean, common sense tells you, because
exactly.
you look at yourself, your body weight, okay, and you know what it takes. I mean, you understand, Bigfoot doesn't have the luxury of a refrigerator and a pantry like you and I do. We're going to go from the refrigerator, open it up, see what's in there. It's full of food. Nothing looks good to us. We're going to go to the pantry, full of food. Nothing looks good to us because we don't want to take the time to cook it or open it. Okay? Bigfoot doesn't have the luxury of that. Okay? So he's going to spend every waking moment looking for food. Okay? And this Canadian biologist, got a lot of flack for attacking me on that. People back me up saying, listen, this is common sense. People who are scientists, biologists, they have one way of thinking, and that's the science way of thinking. Science does not want to be corrected.
Yeah.
Okay. If Bigfoot is ever found, I guarantee you they're going to catalog it as something other than what it is, because they don't want to change science. They don't want to be corrected. Okay.
Yeah, totally
so and that's why they have and science is supposed to be open-minded. They're supposed to be well, maybe this is possible, but they're not. It's their way or it's the highway when it comes to science. So she got a lot of crap, man. I was surprised on how many people tore her apart saying this guy knows what he's talking about. It makes sense.
Yeah, it's the only thing that makes sense. I mean, come on.
but you take a dog man, okay, he's a meat eater, okay? The food population's out there, man. He's got the roadkill, okay? He's got, deer. He's got small game. So his food source is there, okay? If he's canine, is he more like a typical dog that's going to gorge himself? Because dogs gorge themselves, to a point. You ever heard the expression, they'll eat themselves to death?
Yeah.
But they don't eat themselves to death, but they eat themselves to where they get deathly sick. and they'll throw it up, and they'll eat the throw up.
Yeah,
You know,
I have a cat that does that.
yeah. But the thing of it is, Dogman, I don't worry about him because he the food source is out there and he's able to get it. Bigfoot's not going to go and eat roadkill. You and I are not going to go eat roadkill. Okay.
Well, now some people do eat roadkill. Just saying.
But yeah, I understand. Believe me, I understand they do. They do. But I'm just saying, you and I wouldn't eat it unless we were at that point that it doesn't get to the point where it smelled yet.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. And I think Bigfoot's the same way. If it stinks, he's not going to eat it.
Yeah, I kind of see Bigfoot as more of a refined gentleman, whereas a Dogman is he's just a wild card. So
yeah, exactly.
Bigfoot has standards.
Yeah, and I think so because I think I think they see how humans are, and they mimic us at things at certain points and stuff, but if it doesn't kill us, it's not going to kill them.
So real quick, I want to throw out a question, then we got to get to these pictures. So Jeffrey wants to know, has he ever heard of James Cosbalt going to South America with super soldiers to track a Dogman? He said it was dressed like a monk and had a spaceship and mental abilities.
No, the only South American story I heard was from a guy that's former special operations that he said that we have a new species of alien and it's canine, and it's a very dangerous and hostile species. Okay, they come to Earth to hunt like the predator. Okay, and they're able to blend in with wolves because they look less like them. Okay, they're an intelligent species, but they have no common sense, and that's the way he said it. They have no common sense. They're intelligent, but they're extremely dangerous, and that they are so dangerous. The ones that they would not keep in the continental United States. They kept them in facilities outside of the United States. Okay, so they were able to get out of the facility that they were at, where they killed everybody that was in there. And they were able to get into a village in South America, and they were killing the people there. Okay, so they had to go down to take them out. And he said they had special weapons in order to do it because these things wore body armor. Okay, so regular weaponry would not be able to penetrate their armor. That's why they had special weapons that were able to do it. And they end up going and they end up killing them, what they had there. Now, that's unique, that story is, because that's the extraterrestrial part. They mentioned that they're extraterrestrial part. Now, I talked to an American soldier that was in Afghanistan who seen him and his partner, seen two of them kill 3 insurgents in the Kandahar Valley. And he said they were wearing body armor. And here's the kind of unique thing about this. Okay, let's take Star Wars. Okay, George Lucas had some very good friends in high places at NASA. Okay, when he did Star Wars, he went to them. And the story is that they showed him things that no one else has ever seen. Okay, one, that there's a alleged photo of a spaceship and a crater on the moon that looks like the Millennium Falcon. Okay, which I've seen the picture. It's out there. Okay, and George Hoagland did a book called Dark Mission. I suggest everybody to read this book. It's awesome. And he talks about that when, I think it was Apollo 17, maybe. I believe that's what, I can't remember. But they found a crater of a crash site, or a crash site in a crater. And there was like a robot that was there, and it shows a color picture of the head. And I swear to God, it's CP30, but it has red lips. I kid you not. Okay, and this is a NASA photograph, and it was brought back. The robot was brought back. Okay, so we have two pictures that allegedly happened in NASA that's in Star Wars. Now, in the bar scene, there's a werewolf, alien werewolf in the bar scene, which is unique. So why would you put a werewolf in the bar scene? Maybe you wanted to get some aliens and make them all different kind of. That might be cool. But did someone in NASA show George Lucas an alien werewolf? Okay. Now, when they did all the drawings for Star Wars on the different characters, okay, even though some of the characters you only saw for a split second, but they did drawings of them and the clothing that they wear. And I have copies of these where these are werewolves wearing body armor. And this is 1976 stuff. Okay, so this is unique. Okay, and it kind of goes back. Maybe a dogman is an alien species, and maybe it does come here. Okay, and maybe it mated with wolves, and then you have another type of species of dogman that stays on planet. It blows your mind the more you can just sit there and think about this and the possibilities.
Yeah, it definitely does. And do you think that it's possible that maybe it's the other way around? Maybe the government harnessed the power of a few captive dogmen and, maybe did something to them to utilize their abilities in some way?
No, I think you're talking like weaponize it.
Yeah, possibly.
My theory. You don't want to weaponize an organism, okay? You want to weaponize the weaponry, okay? Because you can control the weaponry. You can't control the organism, okay? So, you kind of understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You don't want to make a super soldier because when you give something free will, it can think on its own. It's the same thing with robots. Hell, a year ago, the military said you don't want robots. You don't want something that can evolve, that will eventually end up killing. Now, this is fact. All these robots that they're making that look human, every single one of them stated that they want to kill humanity. There's this beautiful YouTube video out there where this guy has all these, different cuts from interviews with robots. And one of them, this British news agency is talking to this robot that's made after some scientist, his looks, and the robot says to the guy, "I like you. I'll keep you in my human zoo."
Oh my God.
Okay. And this guy flipped out, so, and there's this female one that sat there and said they're out to destroy humanity. And then there was just a thing on the news about 7 months ago where they had these two robots and they put them on social media to talk. And then they get into all these different conversations and they talk about destroying humanity. And they pulled them off.
Wow. I'm not really afraid of a lot of things, but I am terrified of robots. And I blame Terminator. That's really spooky. I would like to think that, they're just robots. There's no way they could actually do this. But who knows? We don't really know what they could be capable of.
but that was Twitter that did it.
Yeah.
Okay. And these robots were getting, friend requests or follows and stuff like that. And so they're seeing what all these other people are following. And so they're seeing that people are fighting among each other and political and all this stuff. And they see it as a threat. And they see that, we have to destroy the threat, and Twitter pulled them off. And they said, oh, well, it was just a glitch in the system. And that's why it went like it did. No, these things, these two robots evolved on Twitter, on, following people following them. Okay. And then they start getting into the political arguments and things. No, that's what's going to kill. I'm telling you, global warming is not going to kill us. We're going to create robots that's going to enslave us or kill us. I truly believe that. I truly believe that.
I really hope that that's not the case. Just a quick anecdote here. I was in Florida during the time that serial killer was on the loose in Tampa. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
And I kept thinking, I was like, you know what they need to do? They need to get those Boston Dynamics or whatever it's called, Boston dogs, the big walking robot dog machines. It's like they need to mount some guns on those things and put them on the streets to patrol for this guy. And but it's kind of scary to think of it also it could be helpful to use a robot for something terrible that's going on in the world, but at the same time it's like, well, what if they don't want to stop there? What if they keep shooting everybody in Tampa? You know what I mean? Like, oh my god.
Well, the thing of it is, it's like, it can reason, but at a certain point it's going to stop reasoning with you, and it's going to take whatever action is necessary, because they're not going to go into a long drawn out conversation. They're not built for that. Yep,
definitely the case. So we got a couple more pictures. I don't want to keep you on here too much longer. So let's take a look at this picture. This picture, I have to know the story behind it because I don't think I'm familiar with this one. Let me just pull it up here.
Oh, that's Adam's signing when they were in the van.
Oh, okay.
That road was the road we were on when we did the filming.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. So if you guys remember last night when Adam was talking about being in the van and he looks over and he sees, what appeared to be a dog man. And he was descriptive about height and stuff like that. It was a really interesting story. I wish I had pulled these up last night. I don't know what happened, but and then this is our last one. What's up with this one?
This was our Dogman UFO connection, what we were just talking about.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Sense. See that figure there? I'm going to buy one at $7,000 for that figure right there. That Dogman.
Life-sized?
Yeah. He's about 7.5 feet.
Oh wow.
Yeah. $7,000 for him, and it takes about a month to make. And I'm going to buy one, so when we do our stuff, he's right there with us.
That would be awesome.
I'm serious. I'm going to get one. I almost had the money to get it.
You know what you could do? It'll pay for itself. All you have to do is just open it up to the public where people can come and pay to get their picture taken with it. Oh. I'd pay good money for that.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
All righty. So that's the end of our pictures here. Let me go ahead and close that. And would you be okay with me posting some of these pictures on the Facebook page tomorrow so everybody can check them out if they didn't get a chance to tonight?
Oh, yeah, that's fine.
Awesome. Yeah. So guys, definitely check the Facebook page tomorrow if you want to take another look at these pictures, examine them, leave some comments, let us know what you think about them. Thank you very much for coming on. It's always a great time when you're here. Problem. You'll have to come back. At some point we've got to get you and Adam on here together, and we've got to get Dave. That's the mission right now. We have to get Dave.
Dave on there, yeah, definitely.
Because he's got such cool stuff to talk about, so much paranormal stuff, and I feel like we've been kind of neglecting the ghost for a while, guys. We gotta get back onto the ghosts.
Yeah.
All right. So thank you again for coming tonight. And thank you everybody who tuned in. I really appreciate it. We had so many people in the chat. It was really cool. Hopefully, if we didn't get to your question tonight, come over to the Facebook page and leave it somewhere and we'll answer it. But hopefully I got at least most of them. So thank you all.
Go ahead and keep. Oh, okay.
What is it? What is it?
I was going to say, hold on 1 minute.
Yeah, you're fine. You're fine.
All right. I'll be right back on in a second.
All righty. So, guys, so that's it for tonight. I hope you enjoyed the show. Thank you very much for coming. Do not get eaten by Dogman. Do not get abducted by aliens. And I will see you all very, very, very soon. Have a great week, everybody.